Hello class. In this video, we're going to look at using NetBeans to submit Java files to Hypergrade. NetBeans is a great IDE, interactive development environment, but it does require us to do a little more work to submit our Java files to Hypergrade than Eclipse does. So to begin, I'm going to start a new project. I don't want that type of project, so I'm going to cancel and use my file menu. You guys may know a lot about NetBeans and how to get around that, but I'm not going to discover that today. So I'm going to choose New Project from the File menu. Here my choices are Java, which I want, and I'm going to choose Java Application. So I'll click Next. Now I'm going to give my project a name. This is going to be Exercise 1-1. Notice that down here NetBeans says it's going to go ahead and create a main class for me. I really don't want it to do that, so I'm going to check that box or uncheck that box. Now, if I do want it to do that for me, I'll go ahead and check the box and I'm going to put in the class name that was required by our assignment if there is such a required class name. This one was print what's not 5 times. And in this particular project, my class name is a little bit different, but I want to show you how important it is to have those class names the same. So now that I've entered in the class name that I want to use, I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. As NetBeans creates the project, it's going to create all of the required components for our project, and we're going to see that information up here in our project window. When I expand the project, I see that I have source packages, and under my default package is the print 5 times class that I asked NetBeans to create for me by default. The library section is all the Java runtime information. Now notice with NetBeans that I have some embedded comments that are already placed into the program for me. I need to make sure and update those so that they're accurate. Now, I had already copied the class information and code that I wanted to use for this program, so I'm going to paste it. Now, notice my name, as I said, is a little bit different. I could rename this .java file in NetBeans, or I can make my class name in my code match the name of the .java file. The simplest thing is to make the name match, so I'm going to change it to print 5 times instead of message 5 times. That's all I should need to do in NetBeans because I had already coded this program, so I'm going to go ahead and run it. Now, notice the way I created this class file. When I chose to create it automatically, NetBeans did not include a package name. That's what we want because we don't want that package name for Hypergrade. Hypergrade gets confused by that and will not work properly. Now, if your NetBeans code already has a package name in it, you can comment that out to submit this code to Hypergrade and then uncomment it if you need to test. As you work with NetBeans, you will find other ways to handle this situation, but for now, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and run this program in NetBeans, and here's my output, and I see that I printed out the message, Welcome to Java, 5 times. So now I would like to submit this to Hypergrade. I have my Hypergrade session open, and I have already clicked Submit on the Hypergrade assignment, so I'm ready to try to submit my assignment to Hypergrade. Now, my output is not exactly what's required, and I expect to fail this test case in this assignment, but I want to show you how to submit it. Now with Eclipse, I was able to drag my file and drop it into Hypergrade. Hypergrade acts as though this is going to work for NetBeans, but unfortunately it does not. I end up with no file in Hypergrade. So I'm going to actually have to click to upload my file to Hypergrade. Now, when I click, I'm going to go to my file system, and in my Documents folder, I should find a NetBeans projects folder. That's the default location for your NetBeans projects. My project was named Exercise 1-1, so I'm going to go into that folder. I'm looking for my source code, so I'm going to go into the source folder, and finally I locate my .java file that I can open into Hypergrade, and now I can test that to see if it's going to work. I'm going to test my code, and again, just like in Eclipse, you can see that I have some errors. My code does not match, or my output, I mean, does not match. My first line matches, that's why it's green. My second line matches until it gets to the word Java, and then Hypergrade starts to find a mismatch. Once my mismatch has been found in Hypergrade, things will be highlighted in red, and you know that you need to verify your information and revise your program to output the correct output. Again, the /ns are just a system thing to indicate that the system should go to a new line, and we receive those /ns automatically by using the print line method in Java. So that should tell you how to use NetBeans. NetBeans is a great IDE and a great tool, but you will have to work a little harder to get it to submit into Hypergrade. It is totally up to you which product you would like to use, but Eclipse does seem to make it a little simpler. Let me know if you have any questions,